Hello everyone, so we are taking a break from characters and we're going to be focusing more on world building stuff. This will also help you guys understand the different traits of the characters because I noticed when I was filming the video for the Sylvian Empire and for their kingdom, the Sylvan Kingdom, not kingdom, queendom, I found that it was a little bit hard to explain things without having added lore in there and stuff like that, such as the first ones. There's a reason they're called the first ones, but you won't really understand the depths of them until I add in their backstory, how they came about. For the next kingdom, next empire I'm doing is the Copper Empire, and one of the princesses has a disease. So this video is going to be on the diseases in the world of Shenzi. Just so when I'm doing the video for the Copper Empire, for the princess specifically, you'll be able to have an easier time understanding this character and why she's like that, rather than me trying to explain it while also trying to explain the character and stuff like that. So with that being said, we are going to go over diseases in the Shenzi Kingdom. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, around 6 diseases that I'll be mentioning. This list might grow bigger or smaller depending on how the story goes with these creatures. So basically the 6 that we're going to be doing are called demasking, deray, bose, puppeteering, bizarro, and esab. So basically each of them are based on usually more of a real world illness, based, not actually a real world illness though, such as demasking. This is the illness that the princess in the Copper Kingdom will have. So demasking is an incurable disease, and it's also a birth defect. So it's a developmental thing. It develops in early childhood, and basically it's similar to mercury poisoning. So if you have forgotten, the Shenzi is, instead of having water, it has mercury. So these creatures are supposed to have a digestive system that allows them to function and absorb the mercury without it killing them. So when you have the illness of demasking, it is incurable and it's lethal. Because it's basically, they don't have immunity to the mercury. They still get poisoned by it. They cannot handle it. So, and since the mercury is this world's water and they need to drink it to survive, they have only a survival rate of, usually they can survive past childhood, but only up to 20 to 30 years old before they eventually succumb to the poisoning. So basically it weakens the immune system, it causes skin decay, it also causes psychological problems, like problems with your nervous system and stuff like that. It's also, so usually the difference here is with mercury poisoning, it usually takes 1 to 2 hours before it kills you. With my creatures, since they already have an immunity to it, or supposed to have a digestive system that helps them with it, and since demasking is basically where their digestive system cannot completely digest it, they're going to have a longer lifespan. Plus also, it wouldn't make sense to have a character who has this problem and only survive for a few hours. So yeah, a quick sneak peek at the next character, the Princess Marina, who is in the Copper Kingdom, who has this disease of demasking. So I haven't colored her in yet, but basically, where's my finger? So these little splotches on the side of her face and her body and her legs, they are basically like the burn marks and the irritation that it causes and the decay that mercury poisoning causes. Mercury poisoning usually, off of what I researched, is more on the inside rather than the outside. So to give a little bit more visual representation, I did more decaying and stuff like that. And the irritation is going to be more of like a dark reddish silver color, because usually on humans the irritation is more of like a pinky color. So if that makes sense, that's basically what demasking is. It's based on mercury poisoning, but it develops in early childhood, and it's for digestive problems. So the next disease we're going to go on to after is diarrhea. So diarrhea is not dairy. It's someone who wants individuality. So reiterating, this world does not like individuality. They want to be like humans. They all want to be the same. They want to be the ideal being, and what they find ideal is humans. So they consider, so people that are not individuals, that want to be individuals, want their own individuality, it's called derail, because derail is kind of like a play on words to derailing from the societal expectations, and they consider this a mental disorder. It's not, but they consider it a mental disorder. They think something's wrong with that type of person. So they have not found a cure for. Basically, how they try to find a cure for it or try to fix it is through some therapies and some training, not good type, and then if all else fails, you get sent to Mansalanium, and you get sent there and never come back. It's non-lethal unless you get sent to Mansalanium, or the therapies end up killing you, but the actual disease itself is not lethal. So the next one is Bose, death, which is basically death from age. So in my world, a little bit of lore. So the first ones, these creatures are man-made. So the first ones, as I mentioned in the other video, like in the video where I'm talking about the Sylvan Empire, a first one is basically someone who was like the original creature, one of the original creatures that came to this world. So as you can see, this is an example of the first one. So she looks a lot older. The reason why is because of the disease of Bose. So that's basically where, actually not disease of Bose. Basically, they don't have Bose. They, the first ones don't age. Don't die from aging, but everyone else does. So when someone dies, instead of being like they died, they're gonna say that they died from Bose, because that's just how it is, I guess. It's not anything bad to them. They just see it as it is death. The next one specifically applies to Miyuki Scotty, which is this Arctic land. So it's called puppeteering. So it's a mental disorder where basically they cannot feel emotion. They usually mimic others. It's non-lethal, and it develops at birth or creation. So in Miyuki Scotty, a lot of creatures cannot actually feel anything, which is, and all the other places think that's a little bit odd, so they call it puppeteering because they cannot feel anything and they mimic a lot. And the mimicking is kind of like someone controlling a puppet almost. So puppeteering is based on, I based the idea of it on the diagnosis of being a sociopath, someone who cannot feel emotion. And it's based on it with the fact that they cannot feel emotion, but where it separates is something that separates it from being a sociopath is that they mimic others, while with that they don't. So that's what puppeteering is based on. Then Bizarro is the exact opposite of that, still based in the area of Miyuki Scotty, and basically it's another mental disorder that could be lethal depending on how the person acts with it. Causes intense mood swings, distress, violence, sometimes a multiple personality disorder. It usually develops in the late teens to like 20 years old. There's no known cure yet. So basically, Bizarro is kind of based on psychosis or being like a psychopath where there's just too much emotion. So basically, once again, it's for Miyuki Scotty because the way these creatures were created, they don't really have emotional regulation. They're either completely crazy or no emotion at all. And basically, there's no known cure for Bizarro. Usually what they try to do is try is the word. They cannot regulate their emotions, but they try to regulate their emotions. And if all else fails, like it usually does, they send them to Mansolanium. Notice a common theme here. If they can't fix it, they just send them away. So, that's Bizarro. And then our last one is Edsob, which Ensob basically is opposite of Bose, where Bose is death from age, while Ensob is immortality. Most common among the first ones. Like I was saying earlier, the first ones don't die like everyone else. So basically, they can age and they will keep aging, but they won't ever truly die. Like, they're not just going to be gone. They're always going to still be functioning and moving to some capacity. So basically, NSOB is not always a good thing either, because NSOB can lead into problems like Bizarro, where they basically go insane, or it can even lead to the first ones aging until they cannot move. Like, they'll still be moving, but they're basically zombies at that point. So NSOB is good in the fact that they're always going to be alive, but the bad part is they're still aging. And once again, most common among the first ones. A few others also have NSOB, but most don't. So yeah, that's all of our diseases and should give you more context for my next video, which is going to, or next Empire video at least, where I'm going to be talking about the Copper Queendom. I'm trying to remember which is a kingdom, which is a queendom. But either way, this should give you a little bit more context. I'll eventually give how they came to be, like where they came from originally and stuff like that, because they're not native to the world of Shenzi. They're native to Earth, and they're man-made. So that should also give you guys a little bit of a better understanding of why these characters are made this way and why they act the way they do. So, yeah. We finally finished with diseases, and we should be getting more context later. So, bye!